How do you cope with, or how do you manage those times when, you feel yourself being in a place that you feel that is uncomfortable?
So I got out of the like there's some great things about being a lover of God, and then it sometimes is a crutch for people because black people in general, especially black men, used to be really, really opposed to medicine or to doctors, right? So mental health in the black church was like a scarlet letter, right? Oh man, you going to see a therapist and all that stuff, man. We got Jesus, and I'm cool. The same thing that you told me that you heard from a pastor, I just randomly thought of one day, and every time I get into the mental health space, I say it, especially the black Christians or minority Christians. I said, God created the world, earth, everything in it, right? In a short amount of time at that. So we know that God can do anything. So when it comes down to your mental health, people say, pray about it and God gonna take care of it. And that very well may be true, but if God was wise enough to put people on this earth that went to school for 16 years to be to help you navigate through your mind, then it don't take being spooky to do that. Like it's like, oh God, Dr. Jackie went to school. She went to get her BS, then she got a master, then she got a PhD, and now she's a mental health therapist. And you telling me that Jesus is gonna fix it when Jesus put somebody on the earth that went to school and studied all this stuff to be able to help you right here. So I'm not praying about it. I mean, I pray about it, but I'm not praying about it. Okay, I'm just gonna wait on God to just drop mental health into my brain when I have resources to do that. So I'm not opposed to it at all. I believe that everybody should have therapy, and they always gonna tell you something that happened when you was like 10 years old or 8 years old. Like, yo, something happened, when I fell off my bike and everybody laughed at me, and that's why I treat women this way, or this is why I react a certain way. So, you know, I'm telling you, after a breakup, after something traumatic, when you meet somebody new, that might be one of the third dates. Like, hey man, look, what's up? We're gonna go to the club one night, we're gonna go to dinner the next night. Hey man, that third date, we might need to go to therapy. I just want to see where you at. You know what I'm saying? I want to know what's going on, what type of demons you battling, what type of because again, I mean, I'm 40 plus years old. So at this point, trying to find somebody that's unscathed is unrealistic, right? Everybody at this age has been through something. So I'm just trying to figure out if my heel scars and all that match yours at this point. I'm not trying to find a perfect person or somebody that's gonna be just walking on water, because that's unrealistic. Yeah, people got kids, job pressures, we in a dang on recession, we got tariffs and all stuff. People racism coming back, like, what I'm saying, like bell bottoms. Yeah, what we gonna do to make sure that we mentally straight? Like we gotta focus on that. So that's battle number one. If, we get your mental right, then at least you can fight a little better.
How we get more people to the table, man? Because we in our community, we think it's taboo. See a therapist, have those sessions. What we think some of the solutions are to get more people to the table.
So I mean, man, platforms like this, and realistically, especially for Black men, because again, I've been a Sigma father for 4 years. I'm in a fraternity. What I found is it is really hard to get Black men and brown men to the table. But if you just get a crack in the door, all you gotta do is just be real. Like I told people, like I joke around about it all the time, but it's something serious. I have really, really been struggling with mental health probably, 12 years. Like my whole marriage, I was struggling, and you don't really know what it is because you in the middle of the storm. You don't know that you in the storm when you're in the middle of it. Just you just trying to make it day by day. So when it really came down to, okay, medication. My mom worked at the hospital, so I was taking hospital strength stuff when I was a kid. So medication didn't really work. But then it came down to that. I was like, yo, I didn't take medicine for like 12 years, right? Why did I take the medication, Black man? Tell me why. Tell me what's the number one reason why Black men won't take medication, especially for something like mental health. What do y'all think?
You say the number one
It,
thing?
I would say ED.
Exactly. Yeah, man. You don't want to take that. You don't want to
Yeah,
take that dang on medication. You
yeah,
don't
we
want
ain't
your
messing
thing
with
to be.
that,
You
bro.
know what I'm
Let's
saying?
take
You
that.
want to.
Yeah,
You don't want to be
right,
in my prime
right,
right now. I ain't want to be.
right.
Take the risk of
Exactly.
that. So,
Yeah,
man, my doctor,
Mandingo.
right? My doctor, Dr. Barbara Joy Jones. She's an AKA. She's here in the Atlanta area, and she hit me. She was like, "Bro, you've been struggling." you told me you've been struggling for like over a decade. She was like, so would you rather risk being crazy and having all these crazy thoughts and not being able to sleep and all this stuff? Would you rather think about death or all that? Or would you rather take the risk that maybe the short chance that your joint might have a little bit of complications? Now, granted, I still had to think about it a little bit. I still had to,
Right.
man, Doc, come on, man. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I was like, okay, cool. And that was one of the best decisions I ever made. You know what I'm saying? Now all the fog was gone and you could like really, cause I'm one of the people, I don't do nothing crazy. I ain't all agitated and all that, but I lay in the bed for like a week, 2 weeks straight when I'm depressed. And you don't want to get up. Now, all the problems that you had 2 weeks ago, they multiply by like 100 because now you, whatever you was already struggling with, you'd have added job stuff on top of that. You done neglected people, you done neglected work, you done neglected your kids and all that stuff. And all that because I was so worried about, you know what I'm saying, something so minute, you know what I'm saying, that it's important to fellas, but at the end of the day, that's not life and death. You know, and then you get yourself together and then you can come off of it and then, you know what I'm saying, you might bounce back or whatever. So it really wasn't that serious of a decision to have delayed that process for 12 years, you know. So again, the thing we go back to is if you get black men in a space and be open and honest, like we talking right now, then lights start going up in their head, like, man, dang, you know, so I didn't even know that, you know, you see it. Like we have a men's brunch twice a year. The last one we have 65 black males from age 8 to 65. So we had a wide range of kids all the way up to older distinguished men. And you could just see the light bulbs going off like fireworks. Boom, you know, then everybody started, man, my baby mama this, and man, I've been struggling with this, and man, this is, it was just because somebody needed somebody real to say something, so they can be like, all right, man, he ain't embarrassed by, you know, this, so I can tell, I can speak on that, and they know that it's not going to go anywhere. So you gotta create that safe space for black men. And again, honestly, man, we don't have it a lot of times. We don't have anybody we can run to. You know, some, you know, but women weren't necessarily trained just as much as guys were because again, black men have been removed from the household a lot of these situations. So who was training the men? The ladies. They don't know how to be men, so they just like I was doing raising my daughter. They just throwing stuff against the wall too to see if it stick. They can only go off of their experience, and so when you're talking about relating to a man, how a man feels, if he cry in front of you, you're gonna clown him, or if you know what I'm saying, if he's struggling, you're gonna leave him. You know, that's a lot of stuff that goes through our minds. And really, if you was with somebody that was healed or somebody that really, really loved you and understood you or tried to understand you, then those things that black men are so scared about wouldn't happen. You know, we wouldn't be worried about them.
How you feel about seasoned men? You know, we see, you know, Bible speaks of wisdom, right? And having the old, you know, we call old school now, you know, and, you know, the younger kids, if it ain't on TikTok, it ain't true. But where you think the role is us 40 plus men comes in as far as seasoned men? We've been through it and talking and educating the young men about life and stress and mental health.
So again, I think we're in a unique position that we still are actively learning how to be men, right? Which is weird. Even though we like middle age, we're still actively learning how to be men because half the stuff we learned was wrong. And the reason it was wrong is because the person that taught you, your dad or your grandfather, they were taught wrong. Because again, they only were taught off of experiences. Man, that's that stuff like, so we have to learn and keep learning so we can course correct. Like that phrase, I hate it to death. Man up. I've never ever said that to my sons. Man up from what we were taught was, hey man, shut down, keep it everything to yourself, just suffer in silence. That's the dumbest advice you could ever give a human being, let alone a man, is to, hey man, just take whatever you get, whatever she say, he say, your boss say, man, just deal with it in your inside. Like people broken down because they don't have any outlets and they like, man, this ain't even right. I can't tell anybody because I'm just supposed to internally just suck it up and be a man. And that's not being a man. I raised my sons to be able to express themselves because I was something I was shy about as a kid. You know, so you can express yourself, then you can get some help, or at least at worst case, you can get some further understanding about what's really going on inside you. Black men could help another black man. So that's our job. Continue to learn, and then we pass down information or experiences that really are true. Man up. Nah, don't man up. You're gonna be mentally broken, and you're gonna be settling. And that's a lot of the sad part is men settle a lot, and then we do something stupid, and then we get blamed for we should have never settled, right? You know, you're not happy in your relationship. You really want to leave. You don't. Then you do something stupid. Now you the bad guy. Well, you should have just left because you wasn't happy. We just sticking around because grandpa told us, hey man, you stick around. You know what I'm saying? Happy wife, happy life. Nah, bro, that goes back to the ship thing. If the captain of the ship that's steering the ship ain't happy, how is the whole ship ever gonna be happy as a whole? You know, so it ain't happy life, happy wife, happy life. Is everybody need to be happy and growing and successful for this ship to get to the proper destination. Because you might get to a destination, y'all know it might be divorce, suicide, super depression. So if you get it right, then you could be up in Cabo somewhere, living on the beach, sipping mai tais. If you do your relationships right, and that's any relationship, not just love relationship, kid relationship, boss relationship, friendship. That's just work that we need to do.
Got it.